Picture this. It's a crisp morning in Carmel, Bethesda, California. The sun is just beginning to peek through the coastal fog, casting long shadows across the quiet streets. And there, walking with the steady, purposeful stride of a man half. His age is Clint Eastwood. At 95 years old, he moves with the same quiet confidence that made him a legend. His back is straight, his eyes are sharp. And there's something almost magical about the way he carries himself, as if time itself has bent to his will. Most people his age are struggling with walkers, medications, and the inevitable surrender to old age. But not Clint. He's still directing movies, still commanding respect on set, still turning heads wherever he goes. The question that haunts Hollywood insiders and fans alike is simple. How does he do it? What's the secret that's kept him looking and feeling decades younger than his actual age? The answer, as we'll discover, isn't what you'd expect. It's not expensive treatments, exotic diets, or cutting-edge medical procedures. It's something so simple, so accessible, that it's hiding in plain sight. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why Clint Eastwood's approach to aging might just change everything you thought you knew about growing older gracefully. But to understand his secret, we need to go back to where it all began, to a time when a young Clint Eastwood was just another struggling actor in Hollywood, working odd jobs and wondering if he'd ever make it big. It was 1955, and 25-year-old Clint was digging swimming pools for a living. His hands were calloused, his back ached, and his dreams of stardom seemed as distant as the stars themselves. But even then, there was something different about him. While other aspiring actors spent their evenings in smoky bars, complaining about their luck and drowning their sorrows, Clint was doing something else entirely. He was learning to listen to his body. You see, those long days of physical labor had taught him something profound, something that would become the cornerstone of his entire approach to life. He discovered that his body was constantly communicating with him, telling him what it needed, when it needed rest, when it craved movement, and when it simply wanted to be still. Most people ignore these signals, drowning them out with caffeine, alcohol, stress, and the constant noise of modern life. Clint, he started paying attention. This wasn't some grand philosophical revelation. It was born out of necessity. When you're digging pools in the California heat, you learn quickly that your body has wisdom. Push too hard, and you'll collapse. Don't push hard enough, and you won't make enough money to eat. But find that sweet spot, that perfect balance between effort and ease, and you can work all day and still feel strong when the sun goes down. Years later, when a fistful of dollars made him an international sensation, Clint brought this same philosophy to his acting career. While other stars were burning themselves out with method acting extremes and self-destructive lifestyles, Clint maintained that same quiet awareness of what his body and mind needed to perform at their best. Watch any Clint Eastwood performance, and you'll see it's that incredible economy of movement, that sense of contained power. He never wastes energy on unnecessary gestures or emotional outbursts. Every movement, every expression, every word is deliberate and purposeful. This isn't just great acting technique. It's a reflection of how he approaches life itself. But the real transformation came in the 1970s, during what many consider the peak of his career. He was directing and starring in films, running a production company, and somehow managing to stay grounded while Hollywood swirled around him in a haze of excess and ego. It was during this period that Clint stumbled upon what would become his ultimate secret weapon against aging. He discovered the power of routine, not the boring, rigid kind of routine that traps people in monotony, but the kind of routine that creates freedom through structure. Every morning, without fail, Clint would wake up at the same time, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. He found that when his body knew what to expect, it responded with energy and vitality that surprised even him. His morning routine was deceptively simple. A glass of water first, thing not coffee, not juice, just pure, clean water to wake up his system. Then he'd step outside, no matter what the weather, and simply breathe. Not meditation in the formal sense, but a moment of connection with the world around him. 5 minutes, sometimes 10, just standing there, feeling the air in his lungs and the ground beneath his feet after that movement. Not a grueling workout designed to punish his body into submission, but gentle, purposeful movement that honored what his body needed that day. Sometimes it was a walk along the beach near his Carmel home. Sometimes it was simple stretching or light calisthenics. On days when he felt strong, he might chop wood or work in his garden. On days when his body whispered for gentleness, he'd honor that too. The key, he discovered, wasn't the specific activities, it was the act of listening and responding with kindness rather than force. Hollywood trainers and fitness experts were baffled by his approach. They expected a movie star of his caliber to have an elaborate workout routine, expensive equipment, personal trainers pushing him to his limits. Instead, they found a man who treated his body like a trusted friend rather than an enemy to be conquered. "I don't fight my body," Clint once said in a rare interview about his health philosophy. "I work with it. When it tells me it's tired, I rest. When it tells me it needs to move, I move. When it tells me it's hungry, I eat good food. It's not complicated." But there was more to it than just physical awareness. Clint had also developed what psychologists now recognize as one of the most powerful anti-aging strategies known to science: a sense of purpose that transcended himself. While many actors struggle with identity crises as they age, wondering who they are when they're no longer the leading man, Clint seamlessly transitioned into directing. But this wasn't just a career move, it was a philosophical evolution. He began to see himself not as the star of the show, but as the facilitator of other people's greatness. On set, crew members decades younger than him would watch in amazement as he worked 12-hour days without complaint. His mind sharp and focused. His energy steady and sustainable. They expected to see an old man struggling to keep up. Instead, they saw someone who seemed to grow more vital with each project. The secret, they began to realize, was in his approach to stress. While most people fight stress, try to eliminate it, or succumb to it, Clint had learned to dance with state. With it, he understood that some stress is necessary for growth, but chronic stress is the enemy of vitality. So he developed what he called his pressure valve technique. Whenever he felt the familiar tension building, whether from a difficult scene, a production problem, or just the general chaos of filmmaking, he would pause. Not dramatically, not in a way that disrupted the flow of work, but internally. Take one deep breath, feel his feet on the ground, and ask himself a simple question. What does this situation actually require from me right now? 9 times out of 10, the answer was much simpler than his stressed mind had initially believed. Instead of carrying the weight of every problem on his shoulders, he learned to address what was actually in front of him, one moment at a time. This approach became legendary among his collaborators. Stories spread throughout Hollywood about Clint's almost supernatural calm in crisis situations. An expensive piece of equipment breaks down. Clint would calmly explore solutions without drama. An actor has a meltdown. He'd listen with patience and find a way to help them refocus. Bad weather threatens to ruin a crucial shooting day. He'd adapt the plan without losing his center. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Clint's longevity secret became apparent in his personal relationships. While Hollywood is littered with the wreckage of celebrity marriages destroyed by ego, addiction, and the pressures of fame, Clint cultivated deep, lasting connections with the people in his life. He realized early on that isolation is one of Clint. He realized Arlie /realize, and leaves a rich, long-lasting color. Addiction and the pressures and the pressures, and the pressures, and the pressures, and the pieces with celices. Lasting celasting slash las. Lasting celastic slash alas. Realize it salas. We salize it salas. We sali it, we is it. So why with off? We sipitside I kalai sisa weeden. I get salide I. Kam monsa resits it slides it's grek it's ixalak six it. Could a bits I to the co isositic I to it a syllabetic gal to cup hick. It wees cookies. The greatest accelerators of aging. When people lose their connections to family, friends, community, and purpose, they begin to wither from the inside out. So Clint made it a priority to stay genuinely connected, not just to industry contacts who could help his career, but to real people who knew him as more than just a movie star. His neighbors in Carmel tell stories of encountering him at the local coffee shop, not holding court like a celebrity, but simply enjoying genuine conversations about ordinary things, the weather, local politics, their grandchildren's latest achievements. He was fully present in these moments, not performing or networking, but simply being human with other humans. This connection extended to his work as well. Younger actors who worked with him often speak about how he made them feel seen and valued, not as stepping stones for his own success, but as complete individuals worthy of respect and attention. This generosity of spirit, they say, seemed to energize him in return. As Clint entered his 80s, then his 90s, something remarkable happened. Instead of slowing down or becoming more fragile, he seemed to grow more confident in his own skin. The secret, those close to him observed, was that he had learned to let go of the things that drain most. People's vitality as they age. He stopped caring about impressing people who didn't matter. He stopped wasting energy on resentments or regrets. He stopped fighting battles that couldn't be won. Instead, he focused all his considerable energy on the things that truly mattered to him, his craft, his relationships, and his contribution to the world. But perhaps the most surprising element of Clint's longevity secret is something that goes against everything our youth-obsessed culture teaches us. He embraced aging instead of fighting it, while his peers were getting facelifts, hair transplants, and desperately trying to recapture their younger selves. Clint was doing something radical. He was getting comfortable with being exactly who he was at each stage of his life. He didn't try to play characters half his age or pretend that time wasn't passing. Instead, he found roles and projects that honored his accumulated wisdom and experience. This acceptance didn't mean resignation or giving up. It meant freedom. When you stop spending energy fighting reality, you have a lot more energy available for living fully within that reality. In his 90s, Clint discovered something that younger people often miss. There's a unique power that comes with age, if you're willing to claim it. The power of perspective, of having seen enough of life to know what really matters. The power of authenticity, of no longer needing to pretend to be anything other than exactly who you are. The power of legacy, of being able to contribute wisdom, gained through decades of experience. Today, at 95, Clint Eastwood continues to embody his philosophy of aging gracefully. On recent film sets, crew members describe a man who arrives each morning with the same quiet energy he's always possessed. He's not trying to be 30 again. He's being 95 in the most vital, engaged way possible. His secret isn't really a secret at all. It's a series of simple choices made consistently over decades. The choice to listen to his body rather than abuse it. The choice to work with stress rather than fight it. The choice to stay connected to people and purpose rather than retreat into isolation. The choice to embrace each stage of life rather than resist the passage of time. These aren't revolutionary concepts. They don't require expensive treatments or exclusive access to Hollywood's best-kept secrets. They're available to anyone willing to make the same choices Clint has made, to treat aging not as a defeat, but as an opportunity to become more fully yourself than you've ever been before. As the morning fog lifts over, Carmel and Clint Eastwood begins another day at 95. He embodies a truth that our youth-obsessed world desperately needs to hear. Growing older doesn't have to mean growing weaker, more isolated, or less vital. It can mean growing wiser, more connected, and more authentically powerful than ever before. The secret to looking and feeling younger at 95 isn't about turning back the clock. It's about making peace with time itself and discovering that when you stop fighting the river of life, you can learn to navigate it with grace, strength, and surprising joy in a world obsessed with finding the fountain of youth. Clint Eastwood has discovered something even better: the fountain of wisdom, vitality, and authentic power that comes from living each day with intention, presence, and deep respect for the remarkable journey of being human. And that, perhaps, is the most powerful anti-aging secret of all.